Un fuerte aplauso al señor Robert Kiyosaki.
Good evening. Can I see a show of hands? First of all, I apologize. I do not speak Spanish. I barely speak English most of the time, so thank you very much. How many people have read Rich Dad, Poor Dad? Good, somebody, thank you. Who has not read the book? Good, thank you. I'm glad to see some customers up. First of all, I think it is an honor to be back in Lima, Peru. I want to thank Raul Diaz-Canseco, for his generosity and his kindness and his invitation. I personally think the World Trade Center is essential to this world today, especially just my background. I went to military school and I spent 2 tours in Vietnam. And I realized in Vietnam, I was a Marine helicopter pilot, and I realized you don't make friends by shooting their families. And that's not the way we do business. So when I came back from Vietnam, although I was a career military officer, I decided that the best way for peace was through trade. And since 1973, that's what I've worked on, is to be international in business. For those who do not know my background, Rich Dad, Poor Dad is a true story about my 2 dads. My dad was the head of education for the state of Hawaii. He was a very, very good man. For Japanese, fairly tall, he was 6'4". And so he became the head of education for the state of Hawaii. But I call him, and he also ran for lieutenant governor of the state of Hawaii. And I call him my poor dad simply because, as you know, in our educational system, we do not teach children much about money. So my poor dad kept saying to me, go to school, get a job, work for the government. Go to school, get a job, work for the government. And when I came back from Vietnam, after 4 years of military school and 6 years as a Marine Corps pilot, I came back to him and said, I'm going to get out of the military. What should I do? And he says, go back to school, get a job, and work for the government. And I said, Dad, I'd rather go back to Vietnam and shoot people. With then, I went to listen to my rich dad, and my rich dad was my best friend's father. And he was a man without much education. He dropped out of school at age 13 simply because his father died and he had to take care of the family. So he became an entrepreneur at an early age, and he started teaching me about money starting at the age of 9. And the way he started teaching me about money was by very simply using the game Monopoly. And so I'd play Monopoly for hours with him. And then I'd go home to my dad, the school teacher, and my school teacher dad would say, what have you been doing all day? I said, I've been playing Monopoly. And he says, that's a waste of time. Do your homework so you can get a job with the government. So I don't want to do that. And so finally I went back to my rich dad. I was about 10 years old. And I said, why am I playing Monopoly? I said, you promised me you would teach me about money. And my rich dad said, the formula for great wealth is found in this board game. And I went, is that all it is? He said, that's all there is. And I said, why am I going to school? But that was when I was 19. I came back from school. I went to school in New York, just like Mr. Trump. And I came back to Hawaii when I was 19. So in the span of 10 years, my rich dad had bought his big red hotel in the middle of Waikiki Beach. So today, if you go to Waikiki Beach, you'll see the white sands and the palm trees and the hula girls. Well, my rich dad owns most of the land underneath those hotels. So it was then I realized, I too could be a rich man. And the reason I knew that school didn't teach me to be rich is because all of my family were master's degrees and PhDs. And they're all poor. So I realized there was something wrong with education. And I'm not saying education is bad and all that, but that's basically why I wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Because as most of you know, America right now is in very big trouble. Not only America, but Japan's in very big trouble. The prediction is Japan's debt bubble will burst in less than 3 years, followed by England, followed by the United States. We have about 10 years with the U.S. That makes the World Trade Center more important than ever today, simply because I wouldn't be taking U.S. dollars much more, you know. They're printing them as fast as they can pump them out right now. So it is a very crucial time in world economics, and it's very important for Peru to join the world community, but also kind of bypassing the past powers. The last powers were England, the United States, and Japan. It is time to join the world community, but bypass those guys. And let me explain why, because I don't want to sound anti-American, because I'm very pro-American. You know, I spent 4 years in military school and 6 years fighting for my country. But what I'm concerned about is the growing amount of poverty in America. There are more Americans right now. When you look at you have poor people, and every country has poor people. No matter what you do, there will always be poor people, always. And then you have middle class people. Okay? And no matter what country I have been throughout the world, even the poorest countries in the world, there's always the rich, always. So my point is this. What I'm concerned about as an American is that America right now is transitioning this way. We have more people transitioning out of middle class into poverty. I don't mean poor, I mean poverty. Because poverty is a state of mind. They don't know what to do. See, my poor dad, my school teacher's dad, when he ran for lieutenant governor against his boss, the governor said to my dad, and he lost. My dad ran as a Republican against a Democrat in Hawaii. And Hawaii is what Forbes magazine called